Will precious metals and energy prices explode as the Russian invasion intensifies? How you doing, everybody? Welcome to Empire Precious Metals. Stormy here. If you're new to the channel, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a guy in a bucket talking about precious metals. So make sure you blast that subscribe button, get the bell notification click. That way you get updated with any new content. Today I wanted to talk about precious metals and the recent energy prices as it relates to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. We have seen precious metals moving in all crazy directions. Kind of reminds me of that old Contra code, up, up, down, down, left, right, BA select start for NES. Those of you who are children of the 80s, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, 1 minute you're thinking that it's a good opportunity to buy gold and silver, and the next minute it was a terrible time to buy gold and silver. Things are just moving so erratically because of the destabilization that is occurring right now because of Russia's movement into Ukraine. Now, we also saw recently on the presidential address just yesterday, the State of the Union, President Biden said that the United States and other countries, they're going to be kind of cutting the cord with the dependency on a lot of the exports of Russian energy sources like oil and natural gas. And because of this, it is starting to drive a demand in other areas like lithium, solar, wind, basically clean sources of energy. And a lot of people like to stack silver because people say, oh, silver is used in all sorts of different industries, such as solar, right? That's like the one big thing you see a lot of people talking about is that silver is used in solar. It's not just a precious metals. It's not just the fact that it's a byproduct of gold and you happen to get this as you are mining for gold. But this stuff is just really, really important to stack because it is used in various industries. But there's other opportunities as well, aside from stacking precious metals like silver and gold, and that is, as I've said before, investing, whether it be in crypto or also possibly investing in various stocks like mining companies. I do have a special guest with me, President and CEO of Lithium Chile, that's Steve Cochran, and he's going to talk about a brand new opportunity to a lot of people here in the stacking community. It's not brand new at all. It's been around for many, many years, and that is talking about lithium. But lithium seems to be a really big opportunity in the way of energy. And again, with everything that's happening with Russia and Ukraine, we are going to see more countries moving away from that dependent, relationship that we had and start moving into other fuel energy sources for ourselves. And lithium is definitely going to be at the forefront of this. I want you to just listen to this conversation with Steve and his thoughts on everything that's happening with Russia, Ukraine, as it relates to precious metals and lithium, and then we will hop back here in just a few moments. All right. Everybody, I am so excited to have my new friend, CEO Steve Cochran of Lithium Chile. Steve, how's everything going?
Oh, could be better. And I really appreciate you taking the time to introduce me to your audience. I think this is a great opportunity for all of us.
Absolutely. I would just want to kind of just dive right into everything that's going on. I mean, it's hard to ignore the fact about all the different things that are happening in the world, obviously, especially what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. And, this is, I figured, a very timely interview to do with you because of the world dependency on a lot of the energy that Russia produces. And you are the head of a lithium mining company. And I just figured now would be a perfect opportunity to talk about this. We saw the president's speech last night. Joe Biden was talking about energy and increasing our capabilities when it comes to the electric cars and everything like that. So I'm really, really happy to have you on.
Well, I couldn't agree more. I think the timing is perfect because the current Russian situation has probably thrown gasoline on the fire, so to speak, because really the excessive climate we had, the fires, the floods, the heats in 2021, really, I think, brought home this whole issue of climate change. And one of the biggest motivators, biggest factors driving electric mobility, electric transportation, is this desire to move away from internal combustion engines into a much cleaner much cleaner mode of transportation. So that started in earnest last year with all the problems we had. And now, as you were so right to point out, with this disconnect Russia has seemingly with the rest of the world, I think it's going to only accelerate that decision to move off internal combustion fuels or internal combustion engines and look at the green alternative. And the primary beneficiary of that is going to be going electric vehicles and the Teslas and the GMs and the Fords as they all move in that direction. But of course, lithium is the sole source of energy storage. When you need lightweight, you need high energy density. There's nothing else in the world right now except for lithium as a source of this storage. So
yeah,
it's the winds. We have a very strong tailwind right now, and I think it's going to continue certainly through 2025, 2026.
Now, talking about that strong tailwind, I think lithium prices are an all-time high. I think $70,000 per metric ton, and I think just a year ago it was $7,500. I mean, you're talking an explosive growth there. How is this revolution of lithium in terms of future demand?
Well, that you're absolutely correct. Lithium is by far and away the strongest performing commodity over the last 12 months. People have no idea that we've seen the kind of price appreciation which we have, and that's indicative of two things. One, people had no idea or certainly underestimated demand. That's been generated by these electric vehicles and the sales and the publicity. Somebody pointed out every car commercial at Super Bowl this year was an EV. So that's something that's, I think, taken people by surprise. But the other problem has been supply. And people think it's easy and easy to bring on additional supply, easy to find, and it isn't. And that's certainly come home to roost over the last 12 months. As prices have gone up, as you say, from 7,500 to 72,000 on Monday, and there hasn't been any additional supply. And essentially just the opposite has happened. What companies that were out there that had made discoveries and were sort of pre-production companies, 4 of them in the last year have been bought out by the Chinese. So what supply that was out there that could have come on, it will come on now, but it's going to be owned by these major Chinese companies. And so your options to invest or your options to seek supply are actually shrinking because of the takeovers and the mergers and acquisitions in our space.
So talking about these M&A deals that are happening within the space, and you're talking about the supply kind of, China buying up a lot of it. And so the supply has been a bit of an issue right now. We know, again, like I was saying at the beginning of this discussion, that, a lot of countries are moving away from the old way of doing things, moving away from oil and to cleaner energy sources, whether it be solar or wind, or in this case, talking about electric and lithium. Are there any alternatives to lithium in the foreseeable future, or do you think this is kind of like the next big wave?
Most of the R&D in battery technologies has been cathode anode, speed with which it could charge a battery, the length a battery can sort of run on its discharge. So that's where a lot of the investment dollars on the R&D side have gone, on the positive and negative poles. As far as holding the electrons, storing the energy, there's nothing out there right now to replace lithium. It's the third lightest element in the world, highest energy density in the third lightest element. If you have a stationary storage and weight is not an issue, lead zinc still works. But if you need anything that has to be light, energy dense, there's nothing out there right now that can replace lithium. And we had a battery PhD, talk to us a few years back. He said, not only is there nothing that they see that would replace lithium, lithium is the go-to standard now. So manufacturers like Boeing and their aircraft and Tesla and their car, because all the safety and all of the approvals have already been done on lithium, that itself is a barrier to change, right? Who wants to go through the expense and the time to move into
Sure.
something else, especially if it's only, like 1% better, right? If it's 100% better, well,
Right.
you may have challenges, but we don't see anything out there at this point.
So I guess you would say that's probably one of the big advantages that you have is that this seems to be, obviously like the energy source that people are going to want to be going towards, a lot of the different companies. What would you say is your greatest competitive advantage aside from the direction in which we see the world moving? What would you say is like another big advantage of yours?
I think our biggest advantage is the team we've assembled. We have the distinct privilege of being in two of the geographical jurisdictions, if you like, in the lithium triangle. South American lithium is the cheapest, most abundant, and highest quality in the world. Australia is a big producer, but it's hard rock, it's expensive, it's environmentally unfriendly. There's clays and different sources in the United States, none of which have proven up. So really the go-to source for most of the world for battery grade lithium comes out of South America. Three countries, Argentina, Chile, and Bolivia. Bolivia's government has really is backwards and hasn't allowed any kind of lithium development to progress in Bolivia. So it really leaves you with Chile and Argentina. And we have properties in both countries. So that's very rare for a junior. In fact, I think we're one of the few juniors that can actually say we have projects in both Chile and Argentina.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a result of the team we've got on the ground. We've got a great exploration VP, geologist in Chile. We've got a great chemical engineer, explorationist, professor of lithium in Argentina, in Jose de Castro. And the ability of both those teams to find great projects, in the case of Argentina, convert it from an exploration play now to a resource play is one of our, I think, our key strengths.
So let me ask you then, why has the United States not moved more aggressively into this space?
I think one of the reasons, and this is ironic, because one of the reasons has been the slow adoption of electric cars, electric mobility by the big three. Your GMs, Fords were slow to get on the program. The leadership came out of Tesla, which was an American company. That's where really has revolutionized electric cars. Elon Musk made them, very
relevant,
fun and fast and cool. So but the vast majority of U.S. manufacturing is slow to rise to the occasion. The Chinese went in big way, and the Europeans have gone into it in a big way.
Sure.
And now I think so. With the industry not being an early adopter in the U.S., there were a lot of U.S. suppliers that didn't get on the battery bandwagon, right? And what's interesting is that 80% plus of the batteries manufactured in the world are manufactured in China. The balance pretty much are in Korea and Japan. So there really isn't any domestic battery manufacturing to speak of in other than Tesla. So the demand hasn't been there. That's beginning to change. I think you're seeing the publicity and again, the reluctance to have China or, as you say, Soviet Union now or the Russia controlling any of your feedstock or resources. I think American companies are going to get more aggressive.
Yeah.
And South America is a natural for them, right? I mean, and Argentina and Chile are probably the two strongest democracies in all of South America. So it only makes sense if you're going to expand and look at lithium opportunities, you'd focus on Chile and Argentina.
So to wrap up, I have another question for you. How would you compare your valuation in the market compared to like the industry as a whole?
Inexpensive. I was going to say cheap, but that's not right. We're really
inexpensive is a good word.
Yeah, inexpensive relative to our peer group. I think the big reason right now is that we were an exploration company up until last month, late January, early February, when we announced our first resource, 1.4 million metric tons. And that takes us into a whole new category, right? When you're an exploration company, there's exploration risk. with this discovery of 1.4 million metric tons, we've de-risked the story.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to build on that resource. That's phase 2 of our current program. And I think people haven't realized that yet. The big players in this space have realized it. We've been approached by a number of the major players to learn a little bit more what we have and what we're doing. But I think the market hasn't. So that makes us inexpensive relative to our peer group. And of course, the other thing, this recent instability globally has caused a market correction. So we've come off 20%. The whole sector's come off 20%. And yet in the same period of time, our commodity, lithium carbonate, is up 20%.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of a disconnect. And I think that's going to turn around.
Yeah, I think also, like I said, I mean, it's very timely to have you on here because of that big disconnect that you're talking about. And again, coming off of the State of the Union address last night, and President Biden again talking about the importance of electric vehicles and what they're going to be doing to the infrastructure here in the States. It's again, it's just a really good opportunity. I'm going to put all of the information for your company down below in the description. I have your ticker displayed, and I am, again, really appreciative of the time, and I look forward for us to have another conversation really soon.
Listen, I just want to thank you for taking the time. And that's the big challenge right now, is educating people that this isn't a flash in the pan. I think this demand and the shortage is here to stay. So great opportunity, great time to get involved. Appreciate it.
Steve Cochran, thanks so much. Talk to you soon.
All right. Cheers.
All right, so there you have it. Thank you so much, Steve, for your time. And again, all of the information that he and I discussed, you could find a link down below in the description, and definitely check out the company. But, when it comes to stacking silver and gold, regardless of the fluctuation in prices, I do think that it's one of those long game, slow and steady wins the race type of things where you just need to keep buying and not really worry too much on the crazy, spikes and the crazy dips. And if you happen to buy at a high point and the very next day it's lower, you can't beat yourself up over that stuff. It's going to happen. You just kind of have to accept it, move on. If you happen to buy at a spike, then you know what? When it dips back down, then you buy some there and you dollar cost average. That's the name of the game here. But I'm curious as to what your thoughts are on stacking silver and gold, and also when it comes to energy and how, this stuff is going to start changing in price when it comes to various energy sectors. Let me know in the comments down below as to what your thoughts are. And long live the Empire. And I would like to quickly thank these elite channel supporters. And if you haven't already become a channel member, please check out the awesome perks and join today. With that, this is Empire Precious Metals. Until next time, long live the Empire.